Dipakshi, you may be on mute. Just check, please.
Hi, am I audible now? I believe I should be.
Yes.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm Dipakshi Mahendru, and I represent the Government Affairs and Public Policy team at Dell Technologies India. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. And we really appreciate your giving us this crucial time of your day, that too in the middle of the day, to come and join us in learning more about how we and MSH Startup Hub are working together. I'll share some context to get the webinar going for everybody who is here. On September 27th this year, MSH Startup Hub and Dell Technologies launched a partnership to support and encourage the startup ecosystem in the country. It is a pleasure to host our audience today, and we will share some important pieces of information on what this partnership means for you. Of India's job-creating innovation for progress economy, that is you, who are the audience today. According to PwC in their report recently, India raced ahead of many developed countries, including China, the UK, and Canada, in adding new unicorns during the third quarter of calendar year 2021. While the US continued to lead the chart by a distance, adding close to almost 68 unicorns in September quarter. It's a congratulatory news for all of us here that Indian startups raised over $10 billion across 347 deals, having raised more than $24 billion in the first 3 quarters of 2021 itself. And something that I would say all of us agree with, raising funds is just a part of the game. There are many other aspects of establishing a successful enterprise, the one that is poised to win and thrive in the VUCA environment of today. VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. 2020 has been a black swan event of the 21st century, perhaps, and that has caused global economies to come to a standstill, and startups were no different. As per a recent Forbes report, startups needed to downsize, reduce teams, customer issues, and some even had to face shutdown. Although COVID-19 delivered a brutal hand to the startup ecosystem, it has also been a catalyst for many to reimagine, to re-engineer, and to refocus. Reimagination was almost the call of the day. A large number of startups actually pivoted by going digital, and that is exactly where today's webinar will help you, by sharing how Ministry of IT's Startup Hub and Dell Technologies have come together to help you build a tech-first enterprise which is resilient, strong, and ready to change the world. Allow me to introduce our key speakers for the session today. While Ministry of IT Startup Hub needs no introduction, for the uninitiated, let me share that it is the nodal entity set up under the aegis of Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. It was established in 2019 to promote MeitY's vision of technology innovation, startups, and creation of intellectual property in India. It focuses on building a deep tech ecosystem across the country and undertakes numerous partnership arrangements to enable the various provisions of startup ecosystem with industry, academia, and governments alike. It has established various incubation centers and centers of excellence to facilitate budding entrepreneurs as well. At the helm of this organization is our first speaker, Mr. Jeet Vijayvargiya, the CEO of MSH. By expertise and background, Jeet is an investor and advisor with over 15 years of experience in the USA and international private equity, venture capital, and university system administration. An investment banker in his earlier years, Jeet was the managing director of the Horizon Fund, the strategic of Texas system with 60 million US dollars in committed capital. Under his tutelage today, MSH is responsible for 51 plus incubators, 26 plus centers of excellence, multiple accelerators, among other assets to support the thriving 2,700 plus startup community that is aligned with MSH. Without further ado, let's welcome Jeet to this webinar. Hi, Jeet. Welcome.
Thank you, Dipakshi. Really nice to be here today.
Thank you for joining us today as well. So, Jeet, let me start with your introductory remarks, and what our audience would really like to know is what is that MSH is set to achieve here. It's all very fantastic and it's inspirational. How would you define MSH's charter and its role in the startup ecosystem from the India parlance?
See, so let me first of all welcome all the attendees here. It's really nice to see that in the middle of the day, we have so many of young entrepreneurs and startups join us today to get to know more about this program that we are doing with Dell. Just for our audience to know this, and I think you briefly touched upon it, India is a very vibrant startup ecosystem today. We are giving birth to more and more unicorns at faster and faster pace with every passing year. And if you look at it, the larger numbers, 50,000 odd registered startups in India today. Now, if you just look at it as a percentage point of view, then there's so many more unicorns are waiting to be grown up, right? There are so many unicorns already in the pipeline. Now, where are they coming from? And what can government of India do to support these aspiring entrepreneurs who are building the new India? And that's where the whole initiative of MIghty Startup Hub comes into play, is that ministry realized that, to give practical lights to the Honorable Prime Minister vision of making sure that the next generation of Indians have the opportunity to build India in India. They have the opportunity to build their careers here. They don't have to go to US or UK or Australia or Canada or anywhere else in the world. It's how do we make sure we can provide them the enabling environment, access to resources and opportunities in India so that they can realize their dreams here in India and contribute to the building of the new nation. Therefore, MSH was created as an entity which facilitates all the activities, initiatives, programs of the Ministry of Electronics and IT as they pertain to innovation, IPR, investment, and startups. So as you mentioned, we have more than 50 odd incubators, many center of excellences. We are running multiple schemes, a lot of global programs, a lot of corporate programs, just like this one that we are here part of today with Dell. Our mandate is primarily to make sure that we can bring resources and opportunities and funding and market access to our startups, so they don't have to worry about trying to do everything on their own selves, right? So that's the whole mandate. It's become an enabling platform, which can be the go-to source for our startups, whether they're looking for investors or looking for corporate partners or paid pilot projects or funding opportunities. And that's what we are here for today. So I'll stop my remarks here, and then I'll take any follow-up questions after that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jay. Our second speaker for the day is Mr. Sudeep Goswami, who leads Dell Technologies business for South India and heads the startup business vertical for Dell in India. Sudeep is an industry veteran, having spent close to 2 decades in strategy, sales, and marketing. Over the last 14 years that he has been in Dell, he led the company's system integration business in India, working with large global partners. Having managed the strategy office for Dell India, he also incubated and led Dell's worldwide analytics team in the areas of marketing, sales, and strategy. By training, Sudeep is an engineer from IIT Varanasi and a postgraduate from IIM Bangalore, specializing in marketing. Welcome, Sudeep. So glad to have you here.
Vipakshi, my pleasure. And thank you for all participants who have joined us today in the middle of the day. Really appreciate it.
Sudeep, what I would be very, very curious, and I'm sure so would the other participants be, Dell is among the few technology companies that continue to run with its founder at the helm today. How does Dell empower startups in India, and what is your value proposition for startups?
Dell continues to be a startup with the founder as excited as entrepreneurs would be. And I would probably say there are 4 aspects of what startups can take as value proposition from Dell. Number 1, startups can build their entire tech stack and their IT infrastructure exhaustively just with Dell technologies. Further, with our vast industry partnership with open source vendors, ISVs, cloud players, and VMware, we can cater to possibly all technology needs of a startup when it comes to starting up and then scaling up, and all under the Dell umbrella. So that's number 1. Number 2 is we can help startups reduce their cost of operations or their ability to source customers quicker. It could be modernizing the application development, or the cost of running cloud operations, or cost of building up security and mitigating risks, or the cost of meeting employees' IT needs and automating processes. Technology and Dell technologies can help reduce your cost of operations. The third thing would be that we can help startups go to market and meet their customers. Chances are, be it B2B or B2C, the startups' potential customers may already be our customers, given our reach in the market in both B2C and B2B worlds. Then we also have a large partner ecosystem that we have that can amplify the reach into any part of the country and any vertical or any industry that the startup would be in. Fourth, I would say through a network with industry, with the auspicious platforms the government provides, including METI here, industry bodies, incubators, academics, as well as PE, VC funds, we can help startups tap into funds as they're required to grow in their journey. And lastly, I would say from product build to this go-to market, we at Dell are always available for us to, we can consult, we can mentor you in technology and business, and we can hold your hands to go step by step. Net, I would say in a short sentence that perhaps we could be your best friends in this journey. Back to you, Dipakshi.
Thank you so much, Sudhir. Before we get into a couple of questions around ElevatED and EDGE, the partnerships that we have launched, I would like to let our esteemed audience members know that we would really appreciate if we keep this format very interactive. You can use the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screens to raise queries as and when you have it, and we would address them at the end of the panel. So to begin with, having known about both the organizations, it's time to understand more about this partnership. And the next question, Jeet, is for you. That is, our audience today will really stand benefited from knowing what benefits does a tech-native startup get by aligning with METI Startup Hub. Tell us more about your partnership with Dell Technologies and the programs EDGE and ElevatED.
Thank you, Dipakshi. So just to continue on my initial remarks, so METI Startup Hub seeks to be the platform to enable startups scale and growth. So what does a startup really need, and what are we providing? Initially, we provide funding through various schemes and programs. We have funding from idea level to product and prototype development to commercialization level. We gave 40 lakh, up to 40 lakh each to 44 different startups a couple of weeks ago for the commercialization initiative. We have a scale accelerator funding program right now, under which we are supporting 300 startups. We have a fund of fund as well for electronics and manufacturing-oriented startups, which invest in VC funds, which invest in startups. So we provide funding at all levels for our startups. Second is we provide them with capacity building initiatives. So we do a lot of training programs, mentoring programs through our corporate partners, academia, as well as the experts. Third important thing that we provide to startup is discounted products. So be it Dell, be it a lot of other corporate partners which can provide cloud or can provide licenses for the software. We seek to procure those on discounted rate for our startups, so the startups can benefit from those for their product development. Also, we do a lot of international linkages for our startups. So we do a lot of international startup exchange programs. So currently we have programs, 2 programs with UK, 1 live with France. We have something coming up with Germany. We have something coming up in a couple of countries in the Middle East. So the idea is Indian startups should be able to expand their market and horizons. We're also looking at something with Canada now. So that's the other thing. Another thing that we do is we run these strategic challenges and hackathons, which are funded either by the ministry or by the partners. So for COVID app, we ran the challenge to identify solutions to onboard on the common platform. We are running challenge with BSF and multiple other government agencies. We ran the challenge out of which Coup came out. We ran the challenge for identifying virtual conferencing solution. Bharat VC came out of it. So a lot of challenges are being run individually as well as with partners to identify high priority strategic solutions to build our country. And lastly, I want to touch on is something we do a lot with corporates, which has come up with these unique and interesting theme-based challenges, which can help our startups as well as the corporates that are looking to provide valuable resources and expertise to our startup. And that's where this program comes into play. It's working with Dell Technologies. We have a focus on education as the sector, where I think marrying technology and education can provide huge returns, especially in a post-pandemic world, where we have seen that physical connectivity is not as important as digital connectivity. And digital connectivity allows us to overcome a lot of barriers of learning, language, and proximity. and therefore partnering with Dell, whereby Dell being a leader in education space and technology space and being run by Michael Dell, who himself is an entrepreneur at heart and will always be an entrepreneur at heart. Finding solutions and opportunities that you guys can provide to our startups, both in terms of products and services, but also expert mentoring, expert guidance, access to the global supply chain, access to the international market opportunities and vendor network. So I think all these opportunities that come through partnering with Dell is of immense value to our startups. And I think that's what we're looking to get out of this program with Dell.
Thank you very much, Jade. I'm sure, especially on the avenues of engagement, a lot of folk here are going to find that of a lot of value. Segueing it into, there's a question that is very often put. That is, when we talk about digital maturity, no two startups would really be at the same level of digital maturity. And so to that, in your perspective, how can startups really look at fortifying their digital infrastructure across these different levels of maturity? And what's the rationale behind programs like EdgeED? And how do startups gain from it?
Well, it's a very important question. Let me see what I can put up best on this. See, today's startups someday will need to transform into the efficient corporates and enterprises of tomorrow. And you get there by bringing in continual transformation and business model maturity. You don't become a large corporate and then think of becoming transformative. You get there through transformations and maturity. In such setups of efficient setups of corporates and enterprises, there is a balanced and efficient management of resources which are allocated and prioritized in areas where you deliver value. For example, how do you acquire more customers? Or for example, how do you reduce your cost of operations? Or how do you ensure that your operations and data are secure so that nobody can breach into it as you build more and more? Or how do you ensure that your organizational productivity levels are same intact and do not dip with things like COVID that happens, right? So we know now that from global experience around us that technology can help you deliver such efficiencies, and it's well proven across in many markets, right? So my point is that startups, wherever they may be in their journey, they need to converge towards becoming more efficient in using resources and extracting value out of that. And maybe if they are smarter, they can even accelerate their journey. And this is where the EDGE program in collaboration with MSH comes in. By bringing MSH's mentorship, guidance, and platform, and by combining with our technology, our mentoring, our consulting, and our products, can we help startups build into unicorns and maybe from there a cavalry which runs into like a dream machine? I think that's what would be the benefit that EDGE program can bring into startups. And I envisage that. And it would be, I think the platform given by METI is so easy that one can enroll and register, and then we would be there to start talking to you and get on that journey with you. Hence, I believe this is a very important platform for startups to use and make the best out of.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. For that matter, for the folk who do not have, who have not seen these offerings yet, I would urge you to go to the Ministry of IT Startup Hub's website and take a look at both these offerings. For that matter, Sudeep, if I understand you correctly, the startups aligned with MSH can leverage the benefits of EDGE at this stage, right?
Yeah.
Great. It's also interesting that the second pillar that we just spoke about, ElevatED, that is what Jeet also mentioned briefly about the education space. It would be more, and Jeet completely aligned, EdTech is a thriving world. There is a lot of diversity. There's a lot of fitment from a technology perspective that would be there. How important a segment is education for MSH? And how important is education, I would say, even from the larger national priority on the whole as part of the government? What kind of technologies are you really looking at when we talk about ElevatED, the challenge that we are talking about here?
When we think about it in the larger picture and larger framework, right? So the new education policy came out, and our Honorable Prime Minister very well understands two things. One is that it's the youth of this country that will define the destiny of this nation. And second is education has always been a great equalizer. Now let's marry technology with education, make sure it's accessible, affordable, and inclusive education provided to everyone across our country. So education is a very important sector for the overall growth and future of our country, because the growth should not be limited to metropolitans, right? Not just the tier one, and not just in North India or in Maharashtra. Education is a right of every citizen. And therefore, it is imperative for us to come up with solutions which overcome the hurdles of our geographic disparity, our regional differences, our language barriers, our ethnic and cultural diversity that exists in our nation. Therefore, any kind of a startup that's addressing any of the issues in the education space is a relevant startup, as long as their result is more on the impact basis, right? How do you make the most impact with the least amount of resources, right? More with less for more. That's what Dr. R.A. Marshall always talks about. Frugal innovation and grassroots innovation is how do you do more for more people with less resources? And that's what India has always been about, right? Now, be it in the gamification of education, be it on personalization of education, be it on language issues within the education, be it on infrastructure and connectivity issues. So hardware, software, or any kind of solution which can really bring education to the rest of India, right? Outside of Mumbai, Delhi, NCR, and all these areas. How do you make it accessible, affordable, and inclusive? That's the goal.
That's very helpful, especially I would say over the last year or two. The fact that we're talking about divide more than ever before. This is perhaps one segment that would really stand to be disrupted. And segueing to what Jeet had earlier mentioned, that how the corporate partnerships help organizations that participate in these challenges. Sudeep, I'll pull you in here to get specifics in terms of how will Dell support the edtech startups that participate in ElevatED, and for that matter, win ElevatED. What will you really look for in a winner?
I think two parts of the question. So I'll answer the first part. What do winners get in this challenge? Firstly, we will make the winners a part of Dell's Premier Partner Program. With that, you get access to Dell's customer base, Dell's sales team, a lot of training and building material through which you can take your business and your value to as many customers here and even outside of India. So that's point number one. Second point is Dell will work to fund a certain micro lab within your premises, which would be a combination of machines through which you can test and develop and build your products. That's number two. Number three is that we will bring the winners on certain of our events and platforms where we can jointly take a message to a larger audience of customers of yours or of our customers, where we can propagate what you have in mind and show that to you. And fourth is that we will provide you mentoring, technology mentoring, or if you are looking for business scaling mentoring for a fixed period of time as you work with us. And lastly, which is also open to everybody else who is applying for ElevatED, is that we will be able to provide you IT products at a significant discount and across the Dell technology spectrum of products at a significant discount to all of you. These are the 4 or 5 things winners could look forward to. And to a second question, I think Jeet did answer a lot of it as to what do you look for in a winner. I think we are in this along with Meti Startup Hub because I think both the teams feel very strongly about inclusion and widening of opportunity of access to education. And he was very right that in this pandemic world, education doesn't mean online education in urban centers. Actually, if you look at rural and other areas in the country, has been a large impact and loss of years for students. So what we are looking for is that ideas which can deliver quality education, affordable education across the length and breadth of the country in a spectrum which is affordable to everybody. So if that is your idea, I think you are a winner. And all you need to do is just register and go through the process with us.
Great, thank you. I see that, one of the questions in the chat already stands answered with what you mentioned, Steve, about scale and about viability. But before we get into question answers, and we would urge you to keep the questions coming, we will take a 10-minute segue into what these two offerings really are about, ElevatED and Edge. If we could have the presentation up, please. And this is just to share with you larger details of the program, and then we will come back to both Sudeep and Jeet with questions. So moving into the programs, where can you first, very important, where can you find details about ElevatED? How can you go apply? When you log into medistartuphub.com, you would, one, see the banner. Second, you would see on the strip the challenges. In challenges, go to current challenges, and there you will find not just ElevatED, but a couple of other challenges as well. Moving on. What really, and why are we really talking about ElevatED today? And something that we have already covered, but when we talk about the digital divide, perhaps the divide today is not just about being digital. It's not just about access or connectivity. It's about a lot of other things. So if you have a solution that really focuses on bridging that divide, that chasm, that white chasm between those who have access to EdTech solutions and those who don't, we are looking for that. What kind of divides are we looking for? Of course, access is one of the primary divides, and something that we have heard often and more times in the last 2 years. At the same point in time, very often the critique for EdTech startups is that they are only good for tier 1 cities because of bandwidth issues, and the tier 2, tier 3 and beyond cities. Can you address those challenges? Like Jeet mentioned earlier, can you address the vernacular challenge? That gender divide. Different people have different learning styles. Is there any way that you can, is there any way that you can address the larger ability issue? Can you cater to people with different styles of learning? And moving on to the next slide, and I think I'm stuck. Primarily, what are the themes you can apply under 5 themes? I will very quickly take you through what these 5 themes are. The first one is overcoming infrastructural access hurdles, like we spoke about. Is your solution something that caters to tier 2, tier 3 cities? Is your solution that really brings a quality education across tier 1, tier 2 cities? Second theme is making learning personal. And when we talk about learning, even if you have solutions that cater to teachers' learning, students' learning, personalized learning, how to really thrive in a dynamic classroom, please do use this theme to apply. Addressing cultural diversity, as has been focused on a couple of times in the last half an hour, I would say. There are, of course, whenever we talk about regional startups and vernacular solutions, one key question that comes across from the startup community is about the viability and scale. Do you have a solution that really addresses that diversity while being viable? Gamification and sportification, definitely something that we have been engaged in more and more in the last year and a half. But at the same point in time, there's a lot of research that shows that those with different learning abilities and those with diverse styles of learning can actually benefit from this. Does your solution help people with that different learning style come into the space? And in case you feel that, your solution still talks about bridging the divide, your solution still talks about inclusive education, but does not fit into the first 4 themes, please fill in your applications using theme 5, that is white space. Moving on, a very critical part of whenever we talk about any competition is what are the phases. And we are right now in phase 1. That is, you can submit your applications by logging on to the Medi Startup Hub website. The submissions would be open up until 31st October. We would then take about a fortnight, that is till 15th of November, to shortlist top 10 solutions from the wide variety of submissions that we receive. And the 10 solutions or the 10 startups would be notified of the grand finale that would take place on the 30th of November. And a critical question that often comes is who would be the jury for the grand finale? It would be a multifaceted jury that is going to come from the government, from the industry, from the academia, as well as from the venture capitalist community. Moving on, Very, very common question again when we talk about we are looking at a lot of entries. How are we going to screen the top 10 entries, and therefore how do we really take take it to the top 3 winners? One important parameter, and we cannot address this enough, is it needs to bridge the divide by leveraging technology. Both of these things are important. The solutions, they need to be scalable, they need to be viable, they need to be innovative for sure, but at the same point in time, they need to be rooted in reality. And also, like Sudeep mentioned, we would be taking these solutions into our go-to-market strategies, and we would be clubbing and opening up the access. The solutions have to be at a certain level of maturity. Moving on. What is it that the winning solutions get? Sudeep already highlighted this. But at the same point in time, very quickly going through it, and you will find all these details on the form at the Meri Startup Hub website. You get to be part of Dell's Signature Partner Program. You get the microlab worth $5,000 which would include a workstation, a laptop, a display, and various accessories. And you will also get access to our technology labs. At the same point in time, when we go and pitch our solutions to our partners, you will have exclusive access to participate in 3 virtual events where you can club your offerings with ours and you can go together. And there would be eventually, and I think this is perhaps the most important piece, you would get access to technology mentorship from senior leaders at Dell for your digital solutions. Going further, let's segue into the second offering. Now, just for distinction, the first part that is ElevatED, that's focused primarily on the EdTech startup ecosystem. The Startup Edge is for all the startups that are aligned with Ministry of ID's Startup Hub. And primarily when we talk about Startup Edge, the idea is that we have curated a larger offering that encompasses knowledge series, that encompasses guidance from industry experts. You would get benefits of networking, as well as exclusive resources and deals that can help you bolster your startup ecosystem today. When we talk about the various offerings under Startup Edge, you would have access. You would be able to foster your own digital infrastructure ecosystem through flexible IT, through remote learning solutions, through remote working solutions. How do you manage, protect, safeguard your data, as well as how do you really take the opportunities of trusted devices? Moving on, when we talk about Startup Edge, a couple of things that would be interesting to note would be that we have curated specific focused product bundles for the startups that are aligned with MSH. And these offers stand up until the end of October. And this would be from a wide gamut of offerings, right from desktops to mobile workstations to laptops to various essential accessories that you would require. At the same point in time, given that the deep tech startups of today, they really need to also focus on infrastructure equally importantly. You would have a wide range of servers as well as other backup devices that you could always use and get access to. For this, you will not really have, for this, to avail these products, or for that matter, these offers under Edge, please do take note of the 2 email IDs that are provided there, both for Dell as well as for Meri Startup Hub. If you want to avail of this, please write to us and somebody from the team will get back to you as soon as possible. With this, while we open up the question and answers, and we do have a lot of question and answers, I'm very happy to see that. I'll just start with 2 questions, and that would be, in a way, a run-up on both these offerings that we shared and overall the competition details. It would be good to have both Jeet's and Sudeep's views on what would be your advice to startups in differentiating themselves in the application process for ElevatED. Jeet, would you like to go first?
It's again, I think we briefly touched upon it. It's about scalability, viability, and maturity. And it's not so much about this particular process. I want to tell everyone who's here today that, irrespective of this challenge itself, do connect with MSH. We do have a lot of programs happening. We have a lot of activities happening. We have a lot of schemes and funding opportunities. So take heart in the fact that not everyone will get to participate and win in this challenge, but then this is just one of the challenges. Challenges are plentiful. Your solution is equally viable, even if you're not in this program. There's something else around the corner for you as a startup, for you as an individual, and for you to grow your company. and MSH and Mighty will keep supporting you. So do stay connected with us, and we'll look forward to learning more about you, your solution as we go through this journey of selection. But at the same time, if you have any questions and queries, do connect with us separately as well. I think someone from my team had posted our media links, so you can reach us out on LinkedIn, Twitter, or even on our email ID. So do connect with us, and we'll try to help you in any way we can. And good luck with this challenge, and see you guys as your kind of journey continues.
Thanks, Jade. Sudeep?
I would first say that there is no application fee to apply. I saw a question, so that's one answer. Secondly, I believe we have unique challenges in the country, so we are looking for ideas which can be stress tested and scaled up in India. Beyond that, I think we're very clear in the slides with Abakshi as to what kind of ideas are we looking at, and what is the measure of that scalability, maturity, etc. So I think I won't repeat myself, but I'm really looking forward to India as a land of ideas and innovation. We sometimes derogatively call it Jugaad, but it is a land of ideas and innovation. So I'm looking at many of these ideas come forward and see if it can really help spread our education and make it better than what it currently is. So I would say pour in your applications, throw your ideas, write to us, write to MSH. Jeet has talked about his media handles and email IDs. So there's a lot of availability of help and coaching to you. Just open up and come to us, and let's see if we can do our best with you guys.
Sure. Thanks, Sudeep. I'll take up two questions and merge them into one. And Jeet, let me put the first question to you. And you have, while you have answered this, I'm again, touching upon these two things. What stage of startup idea are you expecting to participate in ElevatED? And this also kind of goes through the various MSH startups and the various stages they are at currently. And do you see any pre-qualifying criteria that should limit or promote the startups to participate?
See, I don't think there's any criteria for participation. There's probably a filtering criteria for the winner. So I would encourage everyone to apply, because you know what, when you send out a prayer in the universe, you never know who may answer. So first of all, because we have a lot of programs and schemes going on, and we do contain and curate and use that data to see where we can fit in our startups and where we can help them. But for this particular program, I think there has to be a level of technology readiness level that we talk about, TRL, that we are looking at more deployability. We are looking at scalability. We are looking at maturity with Dell technology support, both technical as well as intellectual support that they will provide. But it has to be somewhere in the next 3 to 6 months where it can be piloted, it can be used, it can be deployed. So if you're at an idea level and concept validation, then probably you may not get to win this, be selected in this as a winner. But so consider the idea that this is about go-to-markets. It's not about product development, but rather go-to-market and market expansion. So if you have something that's rudimentary that needs a little bit more of tweaking and upscaling, then you can definitely apply.
Sure, thank you. Sudeep, let me pose the next question to you. Does an early stage startup building VR and AR solution for EdTech fit into the criteria? And there's one more, I'll take that after this.
I will build on what Jeet just said, and I said, yes, it would be. If you are at a stage which is rudimentary at concept level, trying to create a product, maybe then you will not be able to benefit from what this program gives you. But if you are at a stage where you can go to market and expand it, absolutely yes.
Sure. And the second question, Sudeep, is we have two products in EdTech, both tackling different problems in the industry. Should we apply twice, or should we merge the two and apply in one application?
I think I would probably cut the red tape and saying you should apply in one application so that we understand both your ideas and we can take it there. So one organization, one application is probably far easier to work and evaluate.
Sure. Thank you. I believe in terms of the questions related to the challenge, they have mainly been answered. I'm just going through the chat. I'd also request the team, if in case I've missed a question, do let me know.
I read something, has any criteria for applying? So we did spell out certain criteria on the slide deck that was shared in this. Those are the wide high-level criteria. So there is no hard and fast gate that we have. So please go through this. You have these slides also available on MSH's website. You can pull them up and check. So please align to those and work on that. Can we get the slide, Dipakshi? I think the answer would be yes. It's already posted
Absolutely.
somewhere, right?
Yes. For that matter, the slides are based on MeitY Startup Hub, the application form itself. You can log on to, I'd request somebody in the team to share the ElevatED link and the Edge link on the chat once again. You will have all the details there. And the last question that I see is, let me reframe this. Would we have any preference between a product company or a service company to apply under ElevatED? Which I think has been answered, but just for the benefit of addressing this person's query.
No, I think both can apply. It's about the merit of what you have to propose. If it is service also, let's see what you have in mind. And we will evaluate that.
Sure. Sounds good.
So team, I think and people who on the call, you probably are getting a feel that there is no rigid boundary here. We are looking for what ideas you have and see if those ideas can scale up to benefit. So please apply that to whatever products you have or whatever ideas you have, and then apply judiciously. We are very open to what you have in mind.
Right. And we are almost on time. It's 3:43. We have time till 3:45. So any quick closing thoughts from both you, Jeet, and you, Sudeep?
Let me go first. Firstly, I am humbled to find a partner like MSH here, and what they are doing in a short period of time. I have learned that they are perhaps doing so much to benefit the startup ecosystem in the country. A big thanks should go to them. And I think secondly, a big thanks should go to the startup community, which is really showing us the way in this year with so many investments and so many developments. I wish you guys all the best. That's what I would say.
Thanks, Sudeep. Jeet, any closing thoughts?
No, I think I'll echo what Sudeep was saying. So first of all, it's great to always have a responsible corporate partner working with us to build up the ecosystem and providing the resources and the support for this community building exercise. And secondly, I'd like to tell our participants here today that, we are coming out of pandemic. Things are picking up speed. But remember 2018 and where we were. India was riding high. Startups were flying. Wait for next year. Markets are turning, things are happening, the writing is on the wall, that much is going to happen in the next year. So if you have come out, if you're still in the game, then now is not the time to quit. Now is the time to keep playing because good things are happening around the horizon and funding is coming, government is committed, more and more people are engaging again and engaging with a new enthusiasm and new focus because everyone has seen what life was in pandemic, and ultimately we are one people, one community, and we all got to support one another. And then only we can create what we are all trying to create, a sustainable and a unified country and a world. So stay working and stay committed, and please do reach out to us and we'd love to work with you.
Thank you so much, Jeet. Thank you so much, Sudeep. Absolutely a pleasure to have both of you spend these 45 minutes with us. And audience, I'd just like to remind you that for both the schemes or for both the offerings, you have up until 29th October and 31st October for ElevatED to apply. In case you have any questions, we have put in a couple of mail IDs in the chat. Please feel free to write to us and we will respond to your queries ASAP. With that, thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.